This is number 2 from the College Algebra Final Exam Review. It says to solve 1 minus 9 over 6x equals 2 over 5. First thing we have to do, whenever it says solve and there's fractions, first we have to find the domain. Because there's fractions, the denominator, which is the bottom of the fraction, cannot equal 0. So this has a denominator of 1, which doesn't really affect us. This one has a denominator of 6x. So 6x cannot equal 0. Solving for x, we're going to divide both sides by 6. So I know x cannot equal 0. This denominator has 5. 5 is never going to equal 0. It tells us nothing about x. So that doesn't even matter to us. So we're going to actually solve this thing, and then in the end we need to make sure that x does not equal 0. It can be anything else, it just cannot be 0. So now we're going to actually try to solve and get x by itself. In order to do so, we need to clear the fractions. So in order to clear the fractions, we have to multiply by the LCD. So in this case, the LCD should be 30x, which is the same thing as writing 30x over 1. And that's going to be our least common denominator. In order to clear the fractions, we are going to distribute that LCD of 30x to every single term in the equation on both sides of the equal sign. So 30x times 1 is 30x, minus 30x times 9 will give us 270x. And on the bottom, we're multiplying fractions. We're going to multiply across. So 1 times 6x will just give us 6x. Last but not least, we have equals to 30x times 2 will give us 60x. Over 1 times 5 is 5. Now we are going to simplify our fractions. So we have 30x minus 270 divided by 6 will give us 45. Our x's will cancel. Equals, and then we're left with 60 divided by 5, which is 12, times x. So as you can see, our fractions got canceled out. Everything's good. So now we're actually going to solve for x. So I'm going to try to get x by itself. I'm going to subtract 30x from both sides to combine my like terms. Left with negative 45 equals 12x minus 30x will give me negative 18x. Last but not least, to try to get x by itself, I need to divide both sides by negative 18. So in doing so, I'm left with x equals negative 45 divided by 18. The negatives will cancel. We're left with 45 over 18, which simplifies down to 5 over 2. So I got x by itself. They both have a 9 in common, so that's how I did that. Going back, checking the domain. Our domain was x cannot be 0. We didn't get x equals 0, so that'll be our final answer of x equals 5 over 2. That's number 2 from the College Algebra Final Exam Review.